The beauty of a scenic drive in Lexington, Kentucky, the wistfulness of horses and fields, and miles of never-ending fences that keep them there. It's the horse capital of the world, where horses roam freely in their fields, and so do inmates at the Blackburn Correctional Complex.
They have freedom of movement for the most part.
It's like a strange college campus. Inmates walking around, perhaps heading to a job to mow some of the 400 acres at the prison, or on their way to class. All this movement unsupervised.
That's part of being a minimum custody inmate. They've given more responsibility from that standpoint. We're trying to transition them back into society.
Warden Steve Haney is in charge of Blackburn and the nearly 600 inmates housed here. Already in 2015, 5 inmates have escaped. 2 are still on the run.
Certainly when I'm sitting home at night, I'm sitting there thinking, we could have one tonight, or it could be a year from now.
A WDRB investigation of escapes at every Kentucky prison since 2004 shows 62 inmates have escaped from Blackburn. 25 have escaped from Bell County Forestry Camp, another minimum security facility. 2 prisons haven't had any escapes in the last 10 years. Most of the remaining prisons have had a handful or less. So how can the inmates escape so easily at Blackburn? All they have to do is hop a fence. This is the fence. Not a security fence with barbed wire, a horse fence, like the miles of black rungs you see along the rolling hills of Lexington. Haney says this is where the inmates usually take off, running towards the train tracks or Interstate 64.
Sometimes they say, hey, it was just a beautiful day, spur of the moment. I just decided to walk off. Some of them have, they get news from home, bad news, and they say the stress gets to them.
Have high fences ever been discussed or considered, or is that just off the table?
I've had discussions with our leadership, and at the end of the day, the decision is that this is a part of the system. It's a minimum custody facility.
When Timothy Day escaped this spring, it was a nightmare for Crystal Wilcoxon.
I was terrified he would come here.
She has temporary state custody of Day's 3 young sons who live with her 4 children.
He would probably hurt me to get to his kids, or hurt one of my kids to get to his own kids.
Day has a long criminal history, including convictions of child abuse, cruelty to animals, and burglary. He was captured in May in Louisville after more than a month on the run.
I don't see how he was even in a minimum security.
Inmates at Blackburn are eligible to be released in 4 years or less, either through parole or time left to serve.
But he was going back out into the streets pretty quickly anyway. That doesn't mean it's okay for him to have walked off.
In fact, while Day would have been up for parole in 2017, his sentence wouldn't expire until 2029.
Do other minimum security prisons have fences and are stricter? I mean, what's the concept behind it?
No, they don't. It's minimum custody.
All prisons in Tennessee, Indiana, and Ohio have security fences. Last year, 1 prisoner escaped in Tennessee. None escaped in Ohio or Indiana. In Kentucky, there were 12 escapees, 9 at Blackburn alone. Haney says installing a fence at Blackburn would almost guarantee inmates couldn't escape. But
again, it's minimum custody, and I don't think that's on the table.
The lack of fencing is one thing. Figuring out who should come to Blackburn is another.
I think it's just hard to completely be able to predict human behavior. Some of the guys that have walked off or escaped from this facility, none of their history would have indicated they would do that.
Haney says the state uses a nationally accepted classification system, but some of the inmates who have escaped have histories that might raise eyebrows. One with a connection to murder, another who escaped from a different prison. Those who have lived with fear when an inmate escapes want answers and change.
Anybody could get out of there for any reason and come after whoever they want.
Since coming here in 2012, Haney says he's put stricter policies in place. There's a lockdown at 9 p.m. He's restricted movement on the grounds, added more cameras and lighting, and put up screens on windows. But still, inmates take off.
The opportunity is there without a secure perimeter.
Haney points out that the majority of the nearly 600 inmates are productive and succeed because there is so much on the line. They're on a path to be free in 4 years or less. It's the unpredictable ones who can't wait to get that taste of freedom on the other side. Inmates who do escape are not sent back to Blackburn and can get 5 to 10 years added to their sentences. For more information on how Kentucky compares to other states, go to WDRB.com. Rachel Collier, WDRB News.